Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me tonight for the Bellingham High School College Information Night for juniors and their families. We're really excited to continue working with our students in the class of 2025 as they solidify their post-secondary plans. Tonight, during our slide presentation, we're going to cover the college admissions criteria, the college search, admissions policies and testing, Naviance, career and college planning, NCAA, FAFSA, and financial aid, and next steps for your juniors as they navigate this process. My name is Sarah Taglianti. I'm the director of the school counseling department here at Bellingham High School. I also have a caseload of students for last names beginning with A in the class of 2025. And together with the counselors, we put together this slideshow, hopefully for families and students to view together and help determine next steps in the process. I'm going to dive right in with the college admissions criteria. So when your student applies to college, there's a few pieces of information that each college is going to look at, and each college is going to look at this information a little bit differently. The first and most important piece of information that's submitted with the college application is the high school transcript. So the high school transcript is that official document that's part of the student's permanent record that records all of the courses that they've taken starting in 9th grade, all the way up through 12th grade, with final grades in those courses, the level of the course. So is it a standard class? Is it an honors class? Is it an AP class? And then it also contains an overall grade point average on a 100 scale that shows overall throughout your student's high school career what their GPA is. That's the most important piece of information, as colleges believe that that is the biggest predictor and the greatest predictor and most accurate predictor of how well your student will do once accepted to college. The second piece is standardized testing, so the SAT and the ACT, recommendations from teachers, extracurricular activities, potentially an interview, depending on the school and your student, the college essay, and then any portfolio or auditions, if applicable to what your student's major is. As far as test optional policies are concerned, most schools since COVID have updated their policies and are waiving this requirement for students applying for fall 2024 admission to school. So this means that schools that used to require SATs are no longer doing that, and your child can be admitted based on just the other factors that we just talked about. Research shows that the rigor of the transcript and GPA are better predictors of academic success than SAT or ACT scores. However, your child may be a really good test taker, or you may want your child to have the experience of taking the standardized test. Counselors usually suggest that students will take the test at least once. Most of our students will take the SAT versus the ACT. There are some differences between the two, and if your child or if you have questions about that, please reach out to the counselor and they can tell you what the differences are. But just for context purposes, the majority of our students at Bellingham High School this year did not take the SAT. Test optional policies vary school to school. Some colleges may exclude the test optional policy for students applying to certain majors, such as engineering programs or nursing programs. So you really need to be careful when you're looking at these requirements, that you're looking at the requirements not just for the college, but for the specific major that your student wants to apply to. Some colleges will still use the SAT or ACT scores to determine eligibility for merit scholarships. This means that if you take the SATs and submit your SAT scores and you reach a certain level or score on that exam, the financial aid office from that particular school may automatically provide a merit-based scholarship to your child. So it is important that you check with each college's admissions department for guidelines on how to decide if test optional is the right choice for you, or if it makes more sense for you to take and submit your SAT scores. If you're wondering, how do I know which colleges are SAT or test optional? There's a website called fairtest.org, which is linked here, that provides a comprehensive list of over 1,000 schools that now include test optional policies as part of their process. Recently, some of the Ivy League schools have decided to go back to requiring SATs and standardized test scores. So you just need to be careful and check that list and see if there are any schools that you're applying to that still require the SAT or the ACT. Upcoming SAT dates. So we recommend, if your child is going to take the SAT, that they take it during the spring of their junior year and then again in the fall of their senior year. The way that you sign up for the SATs is through the College Board. So it's not anything that we can register your student for. You have to do that on your own as a family through collegeboard.org. Many students already have an account if they have taken the PSATs here with us earlier this fall or last year as a sophomore. But you can always reach out to College Board through customer service if they forget their password. It's really important that they only maintain one account, or else scores may not be linked to the correct account. So if you have questions about that, please contact customer service for College Board. But I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of the test dates that are coming up. So there's a May 4th SAT with the registration deadline of April 19th. There is a late registration time period that ends on April 23rd. We do charge you an extra fee for late registration. So if you're considering doing the May 4th SAT, I strongly suggest registering by April 19th. And then there's a second date on June 1st. You have to register by May 16th, and the late registration period ends May 21st. Bellingham High School is no longer a test site for the SAT. We do not offer that as an option anymore due to our low number of students that are taking the SAT, but neighboring schools such as Franklin, Foxborough, Woonsocket High School do still offer the SAT, and you can find the test site locations and dates on the College Board's website. So getting into the college search, a lot of our students come into us and they know exactly where they want to apply. However, some of them come to us and say, I don't really know where to begin. I know I want to study nursing, but I'm not really sure what schools offer nursing. And so in those individual meetings with counselors, students will really be exploring just that. What schools should I be applying to? What schools offer the major I'm interested in? Geographically, where do I want my school to be located? How big do I want my school to be? So these are all things that we explore with students through our Naviance program, which is our online software that we use for career exploration and college planning. It's also the platform that we use to send our student records to colleges. So the student transcript and letters of recommendation are sent through the Naviance portal. So that's definitely an account that you as families and your students are going to want to be getting familiar with, definitely as this process goes on. So part of that first meeting that counselors have with students is either introducing them to Naviance if they've never been on it before, or getting them back on with their username and password. Counselors can reset your password if you don't remember it or don't have it in your phone. So we can do that definitely on the spot. We meet with students and we have them bring down their Chromebooks or their devices, and we have them do what's called Super Match, which is a search feature where you can add in your filters and customize your college search, and it will actually generate a list of schools for you that are a good match. So we have students put in criteria as much as they know about what they want to do. So again, I'll use the example of nursing. So you can check off that you want to study nursing, that you want to stay within the New England area, or even if you want to just stay in Massachusetts, you can put in your GPA so that it spits out a list of schools that are a good match for your admission. And then we ask students to kind of work off of that list and update that list so that we can see what they're looking at. So when the student leaves that first meeting with their counselor, they normally have a list of schools to explore. And then on Naviance, they can add those into the colleges I'm interested in list, and then eventually the colleges I'm applying to list. And those are the lists that we go off of as counselors to know where our students are actually applying to. As far as building your college list goes, it's really important that you have what we would call a well-rounded college list. So we want students to have some reach schools, some target schools, and some safety schools. So reach schools are those schools where your GPA and potentially your SAT scores are below average for the accepted students at that school, which means that statistically that student is unlikely to be accepted. However, we do know that there are students who really, for whatever reason, want to go to certain schools, whether it's because of the atmosphere and the campus, that they've always just had an interest in it since they were really young. We will never discourage your child to, or your student to include those as a reach school on their list. It's just really important that they know that it's statistically unlikely that they will be accepted. So we really don't want to see more than one or two of those reach schools on their finalized list of schools they're applying to. Target schools is where the bulk of your list should be. So those are schools where the student's GPA and SAT scores match the average for accepted students at that school, and they are statistically likely to be accepted. And this is all information that you can find on each college's website or through Naviance. When you click on the schools and look at their profiles, you can see what the average SAT score is for accepted students and also what the average GPA is. So those are like the most important statistics to be looking at in terms of deciding if the school is a reach, a target, or a safety. Safety schools are schools that either financially, you can make work for your family, or schools that academically you are statistically more likely to be accepted to than even your target schools. So traditionally, those schools have been either community colleges for our students. Sometimes they are the state universities in Massachusetts, but those schools are even becoming more and more difficult to get into. So a lot of our students have their safety for financial reasons and for academic reasons be one of the community colleges like Mass Bay or Bristol. They are open admissions, so it means as long as you successfully complete high school, you can enroll at those schools. And so students usually feel really comfortable with that being their safety school, knowing that they do have a plan to attend college if everything else falls through. And again, this information can be found on Naviance or on each college's website. And on average, I think it's important to note that Bellingham High School students apply to between 6 and 8 colleges. You should only be applying to a college if you want to go there. If you have zero interest in going to that school, even if it's a free application, even if it doesn't require an essay, I suggest that students don't waste their time filling that application, because if it's not a place that you actually want to go to, it just complicates the process. So we suggest that you really only apply to schools that you would be comfortable committing to. There are different admissions plans, and each school offers different admission plans. So today we're going to cover the most popular admissions plans that schools offer. Those being early decision, early action, regular admissions, and rolling admissions. So first I'm going to talk about early decision. So this is an admission plan that's binding, meaning if you are accepted to this school, you have to attend and you're required to withdraw all of your other applications to schools, even if you have not heard back yet from those places. Typically, on average, we only have 1 to 2 Bellingham High School students apply under early decision each year. So if you feel like you are really committed to a school, whether it be academically or for a sport or because it's a reach school and you think the only way that you may be accepted would be applying early decision, you need to contact your counselor early in this process so that we can have multiple conversations about it. And there are agreements that you have to sign off with the school acknowledging that it is a binding agreement. So this is something that's reserved for maybe 1 to 2 students total per graduation year. And some years we don't have any students that apply under early decision. Early action, on the other hand, is the non-binding decision, which allows you to apply to more than one school, but still have the benefit of submitting your application early on in senior year. So those deadlines are usually in November or early December. Your application is then submitted, and then you have the benefit of finding out sooner whether or not you've been accepted. So a lot of our students will choose to apply early action. Not every college offers early action as an admissions plan, but a lot of them do, and a lot of our students do take advantage of that. The one stipulation that everyone should be aware of is that if you apply early action, the deadline is typically before the end of our first quarter reading period. So you have to be comfortable applying to these schools with your GPA from the end of your junior year. Other decision plans are regular decision, which is non-binding. You can apply to more than one school. Typically, those deadlines are in January through March. Rolling admissions just means that colleges accept applications on a rolling basis and they make decisions within 4 weeks. So if you submit your application, you usually find out within a month whether or not you've been accepted. The other regular decision, early action, and early decision plans, schools will have a certain deadline that you have to follow, and they wait for all the applications to be received by that deadline before they start reviewing applications. So again, for rolling admissions, when you submit your application, it usually gets reviewed within a month, and then you have a decision released to you within that time period. And then lastly, open admissions is what the community colleges use as their policy. So what's required to enroll is just a high school diploma or a high set certificate. So this again is a great safety school option for students. And usually a lot of our students that are applying to Mass State universities will use this as their safety school for financial and academics. The mass transfer option is a unique program in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So if your student is on the fence about attending college and they're just not sure if they want to make that financial commitment, or maybe they're not ready to go and live away from home, Massachusetts has a great option called the Commonwealth Commitment. So you begin at one of the Massachusetts community colleges, you complete your associate's degree within 2.5 years, and then you're able to transfer to one of the Massachusetts state universities or UMass campuses after those 2 years. You'll then get your bachelor's degree within 2 more years from whatever school you transfer to. And as long as you maintain full-time continuous enrollment and a GPA of 3.0, you get a pretty significant tuition discount. So that includes a freeze in tuition and mandatory fees for all 4 years upon entry into the program until the student graduates, a reduction in tuition and fees by an average of $5,000 over 4 years, which includes a 10% rebate off tuition and fees. And then you can get additional mass transfer tuition credits once the student enrolls in a bachelor's program. So it amounts to a huge cost savings. So I recommend the Commonwealth Commitment Program to a lot of students who want to go to community college, aren't sure exactly what they want to study, but know that they want to continue to get a 4-year degree. NCAA guidelines. So for any students who want to participate in athletics, you need to be in communication with your coach. This process is a little bit more complicated for students wanting to play Division I or Division II athletics. So if you're considering doing Division III, this process does not apply to you. Again, this is just for students who want to participate in a Division I or Division II athletic program. So the first thing you need to do is create what they call a certification account at ncaa.org. This used to be referred to as the NCAA clearinghouse. It's now called the certification process. So they're one and the same. You need to notify your counselor as soon as possible so that we can provide your transcript to the NCAA. And then if applicable, we also need to send your SAT or ACT scores each time you take them. And the final step of the process is just to request a final transcript from your counselor at the end of senior year. And so we always send out a form at the end of senior year asking where students need their final transcript sent to. And for athletes in Division I or II, that's going to be sent to whatever school you've committed to, and also the NCAA. And what the NCAA is looking for is just for that all of your courses at Bellingham High School have been certified through NCAA, which they will be. And it's more of a formality, but your child or student will not be able to step on the practice field at the college until they complete this process. If you have questions about it, there's a lot of information on ncaa.org, or see your counselor. We're able to give out printouts to students. If you'd rather have a hard copy of a checklist, we are happy to provide that as well. Oh, another big part of this process is the financial aid piece. A lot of our students aren't familiar with their parents' financial situations or their financial situations, which is okay. And if that's your family's situation, then you want to make sure that you're doing a good job paying attention to this piece, because a lot of information that needs to be provided in order to receive federal financial aid is through your tax information. So we do offer a financial aid resource website through our Google Classroom. We used to offer a financial aid night every fall, but that was pre-COVID. Since COVID happened and a lot of resources were made available virtually, our partner in that work, MIFA, the Mass Educational Financing Authority, has really pushed for a lot more accessibility through webinars and live Zooms. So all of those are listed on our Google Classroom. One that's coming up is on Wednesday, May 8th. It's a live one. You can tune in, you can ask questions, and we really encourage you to go directly to this source if you have questions about your financial situation or how to fill out the FAFSA. There were a lot of changes made to FAFSA this year for this year's graduating class that hopefully will be ironed out, and it will be a smoother process for students in the class of 2025 as they submit their FAFSA. And just in general, for a timeline, you're going to be submitting the FAFSA for your student in the fall of 2024. So just as a timeline, that usually goes along with their application process. You want to really keep up with that, but we'll be giving seniors next year more information on this. But just as an FYI, this is a process that parents and guardians really need to be aware of, and definitely get familiar with MIFA's website and the free events and webinars that they offer. So just to wrap up the next steps for juniors, all juniors will have a junior meeting with their counselor. Those started a couple of weeks ago. They're not responsible to make that meeting. The counselor will send them a Google invite or call them out of class and have that meeting. It typically lasts one class period, and we usually do these meetings during an elective or study hall. If your child has not had that meeting yet, it'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. The next thing you want to do is get familiar with all of the resources on the school counseling Google Classroom for the class of 2025. So this is like our hub for this class, for parents of this class. We post any information there that we get from any outside resources like MIFA, anything that we hear directly from colleges that's important for students to know. So you really want to make sure that if you're a student, that you've joined that Google Classroom, and then also if you're a parent, that you turn on alerts for that as well, so that you can keep up and make sure that your child is doing what they're supposed to be doing in a timely manner. After that first junior meeting, as students, you're going to want to build that list of schools and then visit schools. It's really impossible to know where to apply if you don't at least do a virtual tour, but really we strongly recommend that students get on the campus of the schools that they want to apply to, because it's impossible to get that feeling of, will I fit in here? Will this be home for me for the next 4 years without stepping on that campus? So springtime is really the best time to do a lot of visiting. We allow students to do up to 2 visits excused if they need to miss school. So if you can't attend on a weekend, you can always arrange a tour during the school day, and we'll excuse up to 2 days out for those important visits. We do have a permission slip that we require, which is available on the Google Classroom, or students can get a paper copy down in the counseling office. The other most important thing for students to do is to reach out to 2 academic teachers for letters of recommendation. You want to think about teachers who you have good relationships with, or maybe you've had them for multiple courses over the last couple of years. These teachers are going to write a letter of recommendation for you. They're going to talk about what kind of student you are in the classroom, what your goals are, what your aspirations are, what you're really good at. So you want to make sure it's a person that knows you pretty well. Your counselor will automatically write a letter of recommendation for you, but we can write a more informative letter if we have the recommendation information form filled out with more detailed information about your plans. So again, the recommendation information form is a tool that's helpful for students to fill out, and it's helpful for teachers to write a more informative letter, and for counselors as well. So that's on the Google Classroom, and we have hard copies down here in the counseling office if you would prefer a hard copy of that. You'll also need to be signing up for the SATs. If you're choosing to take them, you do that on collegeboard.org. And then brainstorming college essay topics. This is the piece of the process that usually holds up our students the most. It's pretty easy to go on and fill out your demographic information, check off your major, check off that you want to apply early action on your applications, but most colleges require an essay. And here's what they're looking for. On the Common App, which is an application that a lot of our students will use that allows them to apply to multiple schools at once. The essay requirement is for a student to choose option 1 through 7 and write the essay and provide that essay that can be sent to multiple schools. So as you can see, there's options. You can write about a background, identity, interest, or talent that's so meaningful to you that you believe your application would be incomplete if the admissions committee didn't know about it. That's one option. There's another option to reflect on something someone has done for you that's made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has that gratitude affected or motivated you? And they range from those specific topics to sharing an essay on any topic of your choice. So if you're someone who's really passionate about a certain topic or a current event or an issue in society, you can definitely write about that. You can also provide an essay that you've already written. The bottom line is here that it's a writing sample and it should be edited. It should be reviewed by an English teacher. You should let multiple people read it because it's your one part of your college essay that allows you to show off who you are. And so if you're having trouble generating a topic or you're not sure what to write about, definitely talk to your counselor and look at the resources that we have posted in Google Classroom. Counselors have essays as examples that they can show students just to give them a good idea and a good jumping point. But the more that you think about this now in your junior year, the better off that you're going to be as a senior to not have to worry about this part holding up the process for you and your deadlines. Most senior English classes will have this as an assignment and their English teacher will work on them with it, but your deadline may be before this assignment is due. And so you really want to start thinking of what you may want to write about, regardless of whether it's an English assignment or not, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be required to do an essay for the college. So here's the code for joining the Google Classroom for School Counseling Class of 2025. So again, that's our hub of resources. We post a lot of links there, a lot of great information. There's a junior information packet on there. There's also a what should I do over the summer for college planning packet on there, which is a really good one if you're not sure where to start. And again, all counselors will be meeting with all juniors if they haven't had that meeting already in the next couple of weeks. And we invite parents to call us, have conversations about things. If this is your first time going through the process, we're here to help. If your child's a first-generation college-bound student and you haven't gone to college yourself, we know that this process can seem really scary and new. So we want to help those families. We really want to partner with you and make sure we have this process go as smoothly as possible. So here's our contact information. Again, I'm Sarah Taglianti. I'm the director of the school counseling department. I have all of the juniors whose last names begin with A. Then there's Miss Cotter. She has all the juniors with last names B through F. Mrs. Howarth, who is formerly known as Miss Nolan. She has the students from G through O. And then our new counselor this year is Miss Hannah Camille, and she has the end of the alphabet with last names P through Z. So we're all here to help you. We're all here to guide your students through this process, and we welcome any questions that you may have. And again, I just want to thank you for joining us and tuning in and listening, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.